So one of the key, steps that you need to understand is how to reserve a flex space for your class. And there's two types of reservations for the commons. Before we start going through some of the steps and some of the links, just remember that you don't have to reserve a space for your kids. You can just send kids sort of, on a whim. However, if you want to guarantee space, it is best to reserve a location. If you just send kids without reservation, then it's full. Your kids might get sent back. Now, for either whatever you do when you send kids, it is a good idea to understand how the Commons supervisor works. We've developed a very clean system for them. So that link is right here. I'm not going to open it up here, but it is a very understandable list for how the Commons supervisor works. So if you send kids, it may help to understand how they're going to be intercepted by the adult who is up there. So there's two ways to reserve a flex space for your class. The first one is to reserve a space for all part of your class while you're in the building still. So you may send up small groups, you may send up individuals, you may send up, half, 2/3 of your class while if you're doing work, station rotation, small group, something like that. So the first thing you need to do is fill out the spread. Actually, the only thing you really need to do is fill out the spreadsheet for the appropriate day, space, and number. On the previous two slides, it does have an example of what that looks like. So basically, the on the spreadsheet, the links are not the links. The spaces are spelled out by day and by space, and you just type in your name and how many kids you anticipate. It doesn't have to be exact; it can be an estimate. The link to that spreadsheet is here. Talk to Jane if you have any questions on how to do that. But if you fill out that spreadsheet, at least the day before, the earlier the better, but at least the day before, you shouldn't have any issues with having kids come up to a certain space. Again, you don't have to do that for just random student work, but it's certainly best if you want to guarantee space. The second one that's sort of new is the flex space no sub. And in this situation, you're gone, and instead of having a substitute teacher in your classroom, you're going to have your kids go to the Commons. This one has a few more steps involved here. And while you can't see all the links because of the screen, if you go onto the main video, all the links are there. A couple steps you need to make sure you do correctly. Number one, fill out the spreadsheet just like for number one. That reserves a specific area in the Commons. Number two, fill out the Google form that you are going to be gone. And what this does is trigger an alert to the Commons supervisor and to the Media Center that you are going to have kids come up there without a teacher. And that form is right here. Third, and these are ABC, not 1, 2, 3, but bear with me. Third, you need to complete Skyward for your HR attendance record keeping. That link is here if you don't have it already. Fourth, try to communicate with your kids. Now, sometimes it's an emergency, it's the middle of the night, kid's sick, something like that. But if you can, send an email to your students of what is going to happen for the day, that they're going to be going to the Commons and here's what their assignment is. If you can't do that, if you can try doing a sign on your door, if you know about it the day ahead of time to report to the Commons. If not, our Media Center people will hang a sign up on your door that their students should report to the Commons and not the classroom. And the fifth one really is key, is make sure they have something meaningful to do. The worst scenario for the Commons is when there's just kids hanging out and there's nothing to do. So make sure they have something meaningful to do. If it's an emergency and there's nothing meaningful to do and the kids can't, behave themselves, just get a sub and at least we contain them. So try to have kids at classes that you think can handle this. If you're all unsure that your students can handle this responsibility, just get a sub. But if you think your kids are older or they can handle it, the Commons is still a good option. So that's how you reserve spaces. But make sure you talk to Jane. If you've got any questions, talk to Judy about actual reporting, how to use this space.